He said I wasn't exciting anymore, that I couldn't keep up. Then he showed up at our family barbecue with her, his new thing, half my age and twice as cold. I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I just stood up, grabbed my purse, and walked away from that backyard and from everyone who made me feel like my years were something to be ashamed of. Let me tell you how I survived that betrayal, and why I still smile every single day. Before I go any further, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your day to sit with me, to listen to my story. You could be anywhere right now, watching the news, running errands, scrolling through videos, but instead, you're here, with me, and that means more than you know. If you don't mind, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. I love knowing where my stories are reaching. Are you in a quiet room with a cup of coffee? Maybe on your porch? Or in your car on a lunch break? And if you've ever had your heart broken by someone you trusted, if you've ever been told you're too old, or not enough, I want you to know, you're not alone. You can share your story in the comments, or send me an email. I read every single message. Because this is more than just my truth. It's our truth. We heal by sharing. We grow by lifting each other up. My name is Margaret. I'm 68 years old, and I've lived a full life, full of ups and downs, love and loss, joy and pain. I raised 2 boys mostly on my own after my husband passed away when I was just 37. He was a good man, quiet, hardworking and kind. Cancer took him fast. Too fast. After that, life wasn't easy. I worked as a nurse, long shifts, double shifts, sometimes overnight. There were times I barely had enough to pay the bills. On Sundays I'd bake pies and bread and sell them at the local church to make a little extra. My hands were always busy, and my heart always tired, but I kept going. For my boys, I didn't have time to think about love. I told myself that part of my life was over. My focus was on being a mother, keeping a roof over our heads, and getting my boys through school. And I did it. Both of them grew up strong and smart. One's in Texas now, the other stayed close. Then years later, when I thought love had passed me by for good, I met Daniel. He came into my life so smooth, like a summer breeze after a long winter. He had charm. That kind of voice that made you feel young again. He could talk to anyone, and somehow always knew what to say. He made me laugh, brought me flowers, held my hand in public like we were teenagers. He made me feel seen again, alive. For a while, I believed I had found something rare. Everyone around us thought we were perfect, family, friends, even folks at church. But you know, sometimes, even a pretty box can hide something rotten inside. And I was about to find that out the hard way. It started with little things. That's how these things always do, don't they? At first I didn't notice much. He stopped laughing at my jokes like he used to. I'd tell him something funny from my day, and he'd just nod or give me a small smile. I thought maybe he was just tired or had something on his mind. But it kept happening. Then he started going to the gym more often. Now, don't get me wrong, staying healthy is good. But it felt sudden. He was buying new clothes, changing his haircut, spraying on cologne that didn't smell like him. I'd ask where he was going and he'd just say, out, or, just running errands. That wasn't like him. He began making little comments too. Things like, you're always tired or you never want to do anything fun anymore. I'd tell him, I've worked all day, my feet hurt, and I just want to rest. But it didn't matter. He'd say I was boring. That he needed someone who could keep up. And that stung. I had kept up with life, with kids, with struggle, and now, suddenly, I wasn't enough. Then came the night I won't ever forget. I was walking to the kitchen to get some water. It was late. He didn't hear me come in. I saw him sitting on the couch, grinning down at his phone like a teenager. His face lit up, and so did the screen. There it was. A message. Big, bright letters. Good night, baby. And that message wasn't from me. I stood there for a second, frozen. My heart beat so loud I thought he might hear it. But he just kept texting, smiling, laughing, like I wasn't even in the same house. Like I wasn't the woman he had promised forever to. Right then, I knew. Something was happening. Something I didn't see coming. A few days after I saw that message, he sat me down. His voice was calm, like he was telling me what he wanted for dinner. He said, Margaret, I need someone who can keep up with me. He told me I wasn't exciting anymore. That I'd changed, that I didn't laugh like I used to. He looked me straight in the eyes like it was just an honest conversation, not a knife going straight through my chest. I didn't know what to say. I had given him my time, my care, my heart. I made space in my home and in my life for him. And now, just like that, I was no longer enough. I thought that was the worst of it. I thought maybe we could talk, maybe fix things. But I was wrong. So wrong. It was July, a hot, sticky summer day. We had a family barbecue, a big one. My sons, my grandkids, cousins, neighbors, everyone was there. I spent the morning in the kitchen, baking my peach cobbler. That cobbler's a family favorite. People always ask for it. I even brought out the nice dish, the one with the blue flowers. I wanted it to be a good day, even though I felt heavy inside. I got to the backyard, holding that cobbler with a smile on my face. And there he was. Daniel. Standing there with her. A young woman, tight dress, sunglasses on her head, smirking like she knew exactly who I was, and didn't care one bit. She reached up, kissed Daniel on the cheek, and wrapped her arm around him. Right there, in front of his son, her ex-boyfriend, and in front of our grandkids. Nobody said a word, not a single word, just eyes shifting, mouths half open. But no one looked at me, no one came to stand by me, they just let it happen. I looked at Daniel, waiting for him to explain. He didn't even blink. Like I wasn't standing there, like I was invisible. And in that moment I felt something break inside me, not just my heart, something deeper. I realized I didn't belong there anymore. Not with those people, not in that backyard, not with him. So I did the only thing I knew how to do. I turned around, walked back inside, grabbed my purse, and left. I didn't yell, I didn't cry. I walked out with my head high, because I still had my dignity, even if no one else saw it. After I walked away from that barbecue, I didn't go home. I couldn't. That house no longer felt like mine. The air inside it was heavy, like it remembered everything that had just happened. So I booked a little room at a local inn, just for a few nights. I needed time to think, to breathe, to stop shaking. The next morning, I went to the small cafe around the corner, a quiet place I'd passed 100 times but never stopped in. I sat by the window with a cup of coffee, still trying to figure out what came next. That's when I met her, Elaine. She was the waitress. Maybe in her early 40s, friendly eyes, fast on her feet. She noticed my hands were shaking as I held the mug. She didn't ask personal questions, just smiled and said, "Looks like today's been a long one already." I didn't answer. But something about her voice, her calmness, made me feel safe. When she came back with my breakfast, she gently placed her hand on the table and said, "If you ever want to talk, I'm usually here in the mornings." And the next day I went back. And the next. Slowly, bit by bit, we started talking. I told her what happened. She listened without interrupting, without judgment, just listened. Sometimes that's all you need. Elaine became my ally. She wasn't family. She didn't owe me anything. But she showed me kindness when I felt invisible. She helped me look for a new apartment. She even brought me boxes when it was time to pack my things. One day she looked at me and said, "You don't need him. You've still got you. And you're more than enough." That meant something to me. She reminded me that even in pain there are people out there who still see you, who still believe in good, and that maybe, just maybe, I could believe in myself again too. The next morning, I woke up in that little inn room and looked around. There was nothing familiar. No pictures, no noise, no smell of coffee brewing like at home. But for the first time in a long time I felt calm. And in that calm, something clear came to me. It was time to let go. Not just of him, but of everything that had been holding me back. I sat down with my phone and searched for a real estate agent. Her name was Linda. I told her I needed to sell the house. She asked if I was sure. I told her, "I've never been more sure of anything." That house held too many memories. Some sweet, but too many bitter now. I couldn't live in the place where I had once baked love into every corner, only to be made to feel small in the end. I didn't need big rooms anymore. I needed peace. So I packed my things. Not all of them, just the things that mattered. A few photo albums, my Bible, my cobbler pan. That old pan had seen better days, but it carried stories in its scratches, and I wasn't ready to let it go. My hands trembled when I taped the boxes shut. Not because I was scared, but because I was doing something brave. Walking away from everything familiar to find something better. I didn't need anyone to drive me this time. I called a taxi, put my bags in the trunk, and watched through the window as the house disappeared behind me. I didn't cry. I just whispered, "Thank you for what you gave me. But I don't need you anymore." I moved into a small apartment. Nothing fancy, but clean and quiet. A fresh coat of paint on the walls and sunshine pouring through the windows in the morning. It felt like breathing again after holding it in for too long. And just like that, I started over. Not because I had to, but because I finally chose to. After that day, something inside me began to change. It didn't happen all at once. Healing never does. But little by little, I started to feel like myself again, maybe even for the first time in a long while. I bought a few flower pots and placed them out on the small balcony of my apartment. Nothing fancy, just some soil, some seeds, and a little hope. I planted roses, red, yellow, and white. And every morning, I'd water them, sit beside them with a cup of tea, and let the sun touch my face. That quiet became my peace. The funny thing is, the roses started blooming the same week I stopped crying. Like they knew it was time. I also found a little community center nearby. They had a flyer up for a poetry club. I hadn't written a poem since high school, but something in me said, try. So I went. The first day, I didn't share, just listened. But the second week, I read a short piece I wrote about letting go. The women there clapped, and one of them came up to me after and said, "You have a strong voice." That felt good. Real good. And yes, I even learned how to use Instagram. Elaine, the waitress who became my friend, helped me set it up. I post pictures of my roses, my little baking projects, even some of my poetry lines, and I get comments, from strangers, from women my age, saying, "Thank you, I needed that." Can you believe it? Me, helping someone else just by sharing a slice of my life. I started laughing again. Real, belly laughs. I'd dance in the kitchen while my cobbler baked. I'd wear lipstick again. Not for anyone, just because I liked how it looked. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was living. And every time I looked in the mirror, I didn't see someone too old. I saw a woman who had been through the storm and was still standing, still blooming, still full of life. A few months passed. Life was feeling lighter. My days had a rhythm again. Quiet, steady, and full of small joys. I didn't think about Daniel much anymore. When I did, it was like remembering a book I'd already finished. No anger, just done. Then one afternoon, I checked my mailbox and saw an envelope with his handwriting. My heart paused for a second. Not because I missed him, but because I was curious. Curious what someone like him would have to say now, after everything. I opened it slowly. It was a letter, short, not more than a few lines. He wrote, "I was wrong. I miss you. I made a mistake. I hope we can talk." I read it once, then again, and I sat with it for a while. He didn't apologize for what he did. Not really. He didn't mention the barbecue or the girl or the look in my eyes when I walked away. He only wrote that he missed me. Like that alone could fix the damage. But the thing is, I didn't miss him. I had missed being seen. I had missed being cared for. I had missed feeling special. But I had found those things in myself now, and no letter could rewrite the way he made me feel. Small, forgotten, not enough. So I didn't write back. I didn't call. I sat down that evening and wrote in my journal instead. I wrote, "Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. Some roads only go one way, forward." And that night, I placed his letter in a box with a few other things I didn't need anymore. Old cards, a broken necklace, a photo or two. Not out of anger, just to make space. Forgiveness? I gave that to myself a long time ago. But trust is like fine china. Once it's cracked, you might glue it back together, but it's never the same. And I didn't want anything glued. I wanted whole. I wanted peace. And I had that now. If there's one thing I hope you take from my story, it's this. If someone ever makes you feel like your age is a problem, like your wrinkles are something to hide, or your calm spirit isn't exciting enough, they were never meant to carry your love in the first place. You are not a burden. You are not a leftover. You are not too old. You are seasoned. You are wise. You are strong. You've lived. You've learned. And you've loved. And that makes you rich in ways the world can't always see. I used to think my best days were behind me. But now I know. Some of the sweetest days come after the hardest ones. You just have to hold on long enough to see them. To anyone watching this who feels like they've been pushed aside, left behind, or told they're not enough, let me tell you something straight from the heart. You are enough. You always were. Thank you for sitting with me, for hearing my truth. It means more than I can say. If you've got a story too, something you've held inside for too long, I want to hear it. Share it in the comments, or send it to the email below. This is a space for real people, real hearts, and real healing. And if this story touched you, please give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Because the truth never gets old. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.